Talking to Harold the H. Peacock.
Actually, we should do it better because he's 200.
200. So ladies and gentlemen, 200 episodes on the West Bremer Radio program with Dr. Dan is Harold the H. Peacock-a-doodle-doo. Harold Peacock, talking Ipswich history. G'day, Harold.
Yeah, thank you very much, Danny and Dama. I'd like to thank my mother and all my family and so on. It's been an honour and a privilege.
And you got to get on a platform. You got to get on a platform. We've just had the cakes out the front. There's a bit of a crowd gathering, right?
Yes.
Paul Pasali's turned up. It's good to see you, Paul.
Yes.
And he wanted a piece of your cake. And Paul Tully, down in the gully with Paul Tully, wanted a piece of your cake.
Yes.
G'day, Paul. The mayor, Teresa Harding is here.
Yes.
She wants a piece of your cake. Good on you, Teresa.
Yes.
Why
is it just all the politicians that are here, Dan?
They want to be part of something big. And 200 episodes,
yes,
it's enough to write a book.
Yes.
We need a publisher.
Well, I did notice that someone from across the road, Jet 52, is lined up for a piece of cake.
He is too, the bludger. We probably want to take some, but take back to sell it.
Yeah, probably.
Now, let's find out. Who's our girlfriends out there that love listening to my program?
Yeah, that's Susan, Rebecca, and Sarah. They're all over in Europe, or soon will be, and they promised to send photos to you this week, listening to Dr. Dan on West Bremer Radio across the best sites in Europe.
Across the nation. Now, tell us about this Ipswich bloke that was fined £200, and there's more to the story.
Yeah, look, just before I go, you got to tell down in the gully with Paul Tully that it actually snowed in Ipswich in 1934. So then on the 1st September is the centenary, so he'd probably get out there with his skis and ski jacket and just wait. It could happen again.
1934, what date?
Well, that's 90 years ago, but close. It's 1st of September 1934.
And it
snowed right here in Ipswich.
That's normally summer.
First day of spring. I know. It makes it more remarkable. But anyway, look, we better get back to the 200th theme.
Yeah, 200.
Because it's the 200th episode. So I want to stick with the theme, but people have been asking me, how do I come up with stories every week? As you know, like I tried to quit after 6, and we're up to 200 now. But look, sometimes I get ideas from where I've been. Like recently, I was up in Port Douglas, and I found a policeman up there from an old Ipswich family. Now, other times, ideas come from listeners. Like next week, I'll be with Tony. Big shout out to Tony, by the way. And we'll be treasure hunting with my Mind Lab metal detector at his historic family home site in Bay Desert. So we're going to get a story out of that. Yeah. And other times, it might be an event that's happening, and I research the history of it here in Ipswich. Yeah. And so today, being our 200 segment, I wanted to stick with the 200th theme, and I thought I'd look into some characters that were lost in the midst of time who related to a £200 legal claim in Ipswich 96 years ago.
Wow.
Now, it was in 1928, a claim for £200 was brought against Ipswich man Thomas Albert Rock. Now, that's a significant amount, because back then it was enough to buy a house. Now, the claim was brought by Brisbane man Cecil Herbert Dowd. Now, it was for pain and suffering. Yeah, look at this Brisbane guy. But it was for pain and suffering after Rock allegedly drove his car into Dowd, who was riding a motor sidecar. Now, judgment was entered for the plaintiff for £181 and shillings plus costs, which means Dowd won and Ipswich's Rock had to pay up. But like so often in history, scratch the surface and you'll find something really interesting. In this case, some interesting people. Firstly, about the man, Cecil Dowd. Now, before making the £200 claim, he was in arrears and maintenance payments to his wife for, coincidentally, a pretty similar amount of £131, 5 shillings. So for Dowd, it was a case of receiving money with one hand and giving it out with the other. Now, he was finally divorced when his wife gave birth to a third child that neither of them could account for. Wow. He was also convicted of having been drunk when driving his car into a milk cart. And if life wasn't bad enough, Dowd then got fined by the tax office for getting behind on his taxes. So remember, everyone, get your tax done, and a big shout out to Julie, who's the best tax agent on the western suburbs of Brisbane. But anyway, and back to our man, Thomas Rock, who was from Pine Street in North Ipswich. His mother, Margaret, was anemic and claimed to have been cured by the quack Dr. Williams and his amazing pink pills.
Quack.
Rock was convicted of riding his bicycle along footpaths and using obscene language on the terrace in North Ipswich. But in 1923, before the £200 claim was made against him, Rock got a divorce from his wife, who had become overly familiar with another Ipswich man, Vance Bartholomew Runge. Now, Runge himself was a colourful character. At the time of his indiscretion with Mrs. Rock, he was an Ipswich taxi driver, but not a very good one. You see, in 1924, he was charged with driving his car into piano tuner on a bicycle. Now, Runge had allegedly been drinking and had 5 passengers when he ran into the back of the piano tuner, who was then forced to cling to the radiator of the car for about 30 metres. Now, Runge got off that charge, but wasn't so lucky with others. You see, in 1925, he was fined for driving a car on the wrong side of the road in North Ipswich. And in 1926, he was bringing 3 passengers from Goodna to Ipswich when his car left the road near Rockbank, ran down the embankment and into probably the only electric pole in the area, which, because it was hard to do, there weren't many light poles back there. Now, thankfully, Runge then changed careers and became a wharfie. In that job, he was fined for stealing fencing wire, attempting to steal a bag of potatoes, and again for being in possession of a parcel of sweets and groceries that were suspected of being stolen.
Yeah.
So, Danny, you see, with Thomas Rock, Cecil Dowd, and Vance Runge, these are 3 really interesting characters who were totally lost to history and wouldn't only be remembered now because of looking into that £200 claim for our 200th episode. You never know what interesting history might be out there in Ipswich just by scratching the surface.
And it's amazing. Little would they know, they wouldn't have known radio when they were alive. That technology wasn't there.
That's right. It really only happened. Well, the 1930s. It really started to take off then.
Yeah.
So in their later years, they would have been across it, but not when they were entertaining the courts around Ipswich.
But we were broadcasting to the world now, so people are hearing the story in Udinadatta and Afghanistan and Iraq and all those sort of places.
Yeah, so hello to the Rock and Dowd and Runge families worldwide.
So you went from a Runge to a Grunge.
Entertainers. Something like that, yeah.
All right, mate. Well, congratulations. Did you try to pull out after 6 episodes?
Oh, what? Yeah, I did. Because I thought, I've run out of things to talk about, but then I just started looking.
We've got a book.
Which is so rich in history.
We've got a book.
Look, and there will be a book out for Christmas. So, look, don't buy anything for Christmas presents because this is what you're going to get. A book on the first couple of years, the best stories from the first couple of years with you, Danny, and you're going to be writing the forward on the back.
The forward on the back, like I do with the range and egg, the bush, or the bushes you'll be walking with and walk about it. Mate, lovely having you on the program.
And you have to promise to offend someone in it too.
I've done that this morning, but that's the way life is. Everyone wants to be offended, and you'll get offended here with the tadpole of wireless radio, West Bremer Radio. How do we? Look at this story?
You go online to historyouthere.com. It gets posted typically Sundays. Or go to all the socials and you'll see the link there going back to the website.
There he is, Harold the H. P. Cock-a-doodle-doo on West Bremer Radio. It's 8:29:25.